We're going to briefly examine the components that we'll be using to put together a ClickNet Lumenergi room solution. They consist of a ClickNet interconnecting box. This is the box that you use to interconnect your devices, and this one's special for the room solution. It's a little hard to see, but there's a sticker on here, which on your regular Lumenergi ClickNet box is absent. You'll see there's no special sticker on here. And the difference between the two is that this one is called a ClickNet power box, and it supplies the DALI loop power, because this is a DALI system, off of the ballast. And therefore it has a couple of wires connected inside it that this one does not. And it's important to note that in the ClickNet room solution you are supplying the DALI power off of the ballast. And here's one of the ballasts right here. This is an IB107, and it will take in 115 and produce the DALI loop power for you. You also need a light switch, of course, for your occupants to play with, and here is the smart switch, and here is the occupancy sensor. And in our case, we've added another component, which is a DALI to 0 to 10 volt adapter, which is going to power up or control this here Philips Mark 7 0 to 10 volt light. Alright, and so you can see that both the Lumenergi lamp and the Mark 7 dim in tandem. We are now going to make our initial power connections to a Lumenergi net light fluorescent light driver. Push down on the little tab and insert the wire. There we are. Blue is neutral, so this goes in the white connector. And there we are. And then ground will attach to the back shell. The Lumenergi system uses different sorts of interconnecting cables. They use ones that have two RJ45s on them. Those are the bigger connectors. They use some that have two RJ12s on them. Those are the smaller connectors. And they also have some cables that have one on each end. To connect the control line to the ballast, you simply snap an RJ12 to RJ12 type cable in it. We now have both our power leads and our data lead, or our control lead, plugged in and connected. The other end of the control lead is connected to nothing at the moment. Be careful, because DALI power will appear on that lead when you turn on the power, and we're going to turn on the power. And you will note that the light comes on when disconnected from the control system. Okay, the first thing we're going to do in assembling our room solution is to take this ClickNet box, and this is a special one marked ClickNet Power Box, and it's marked because it comes with a sticker on it and the others don't. And we can take our ballast, which is an RJ12 connector, and put it into either of the connectors that say ballast. This one says OC ballast, and this one says photo ballast, but as long as they say ballast, you can plug it in there. Our next connection is going to be the fancy light switch. It's a dimmer with memory on off, and it says it does 4 scenes. I have no idea what it's going to do in our simple room solution setup, but let's find out. This guy plugs in to the back with a large RJ45 connector, and in the case of a room solution by Lumenergi, you can plug the RJ12 on the other side into either two of these top, either photo ballast or occupancy ballast. Let's see what the system does now that the control switch, which is net light switch SWTDL4S, is connected to the ClickNet power box, which is connected to the ballast. Upon power up, the light comes on. This is in case you lose power and it comes back. Here you can see the switch, turning it off, bringing it back to scene 1. There's scene 2, it's a little dimmer. There's scene 3, dimmer still. And scene 4 is yet dimmer. And then on the side we have a continuously dimming switch, and there's some time delay built in. This is factory default. This is the way this unit comes from the factory. The next thing we're going to connect to our Lumenergi room system solution is this intelligent sensor SNSDLDS-SR, which has a DALI in and a DALI out RJ45 port on it. It's necessary that you go from your power point on the DALI system in a Lumenergi system downstream. So this says DALI and occupancy sensor out, and it takes an RJ45. And then we connect to the DALI in with this RJ45. And we see that there's a small light on the sensor that's telling us something. So let's try turning on the light. Well, it looks like the occupancy sensor had a 15-minute timeout. Let's let it get a look at me and see if it turns the lights on. It does. So the factory default from the occupancy sensor as it comes out of the box is 15 minutes. Okay, we're now going to add a 0 to 10 volt light to our Lumenergi room solution. And that's done using a Lumenergi AD-PD-ZT 0 to 10 volt adapter. I have wired up 0 to 10 volt light. The positive lead from the ballast, which will supply the 0 to 10 volts, it's always supplied by the ballast, will come into pin 4, which is marked 0 to 10 volt plus, and then the low side, which in this case, using a Phillips Mark 7 ballast, will be the gray wire. That will go on the 0 to 10 volt negative. Connections are made on this particular system not from the ClickNet box, as you might think, because we're using its DALI out to go to the occupancy sensor. DALI in. So we need to go from this guy's DALI out to the adapter's DALI in. Now, we'll turn it on and test it. Okay, here we see our Lumenergi DALI RJ45 plug coming from the back of the occupancy sensor. Here's our 0 to 10 volt wires from the Phillips Mark 7 0 to 10 volt control ballast. And here you can see the actual Mark 7 lamps right here. Now you can just take my word on it that the Lumenergi and the Mark 7 ballast are dimming up and down more or less in tandem. There's a little more of a delay on the DALI ballast than there is on the Mark 7. This is because somebody has, the factory has programmed in a slight delay to the DALI ballast. You can dim the lights up, you can dim the lights down, but when you hit the intelligent switch for the Lumenergi system, the Phillips lamps do not go off, they just dim down. So be aware that that problem exists. Once again, we have the smart switch and the different scenes and continuous dimming and off. And there is your basic Lumenergi room solution: ClickNet power box, intelligent ballast, occupancy photo sensor, and the control switch.